Hello, Michigan gardeners. This is Doug at Buzzard Family Farm. We're located on Verona Road, just outside of Marshall, Michigan. It is Wednesday, May 4th. We're expecting a warm up finally. We've had some really, really cold, rainy days over the last 3 or 4 days. Not typical of what we usually get in late April and early May, but we are expecting a warm up. But what I decided to do today was follow up on the video, the very first video I did for 2023, which was on winter sowing. So I had showed you how you can go back to that video if you want to. Showed you how you can use milk jugs, cut them in half, and plant inside them. They're like a little mini greenhouse. And cool weather plants like poppies and larkspur were two of the things that I was doing. And I did that late February, early March, and I continued to do it all the way until probably a couple of weeks ago. But these are the early ones that I planted, early March or late April, late February, and they are ready to plant out now. I'm planting them in the field this year. In past years, I put them in the flower garden, and I tend to find that my perennials that can be big and dominant and sometimes bullyish will overtake these poppies and larkspur, and then I don't get a real good result. So I'm out in the field in the black plastic. I've got sweet peas planted down here, and they're all staked and tied up. And then I've got some wheat, which we grow some wheat, some black tip and silver tip wheat, which looks really good in dried flower arrangements. And then I'm planting the poppies and the larkspur from the winter sowing in the row further from that. I'm really not interested in these poppies for cut flowers. I may cut a few and put them in a bouquet because they really are pretty, but the poppies only last 2 or 3 days. They really don't last a long time. What I'm really interested in is the seed heads. The seed heads are really, really interesting looking, and they're great in fresh or dried bouquets. So that's what I'm really doing this for. And then of course the larkspur looks like a delphinium almost. It's a tall spiky flower, pinks, blues, lavenders, whites, and you can either use it fresh or put it in dried bouquets. It's just a wonderful flower. So this one here I have is poppy from Park Seed. It's one that they were calling black something. It's got a real dark flower. And again, I'm very interested in seeing what the seed head is. So you got to get the duct tape off that I used to seal these things up with. And I think this might be Gorilla Tape because it's coming off pretty tough. But get that off. Open it up. You can see I wasn't the best at planting a thin planting. So I will break this apart when I get it out, and then I'm going to make holes in the black plastic. I did one of these already just to see how it worked, and I just made the holes with my hands and was able to push the poppies down in. You want to try to minimize root disturbance because poppies don't like that, but I got to get them in the ground somehow, so there's going to be some root disturbance. So you got to kind of work it a little bit and get it to pop out of there. And then it comes out, and again, what I've been doing is just breaking it into pieces like this, and that's still quite a few poppies. I might break that again. And I just peel off a few of the pieces. That's 3, there's 4, and I'm going to break this one and get 5 and 6. And then what I'm doing, I think you can see it, is I'm just taking one of those broken off pieces, making a hole in the black plastic, pushing it down in gently, I'm using this dirt that kind of broke away, this really nice potting soil that we use in the greenhouse. And I'm just filling it into the holes around the plants to give them some extra, uh, aeration and good soil substance there. This one is a larkspur, so I was going to try this one and see how this works. Again, getting the duct tape off. This is that Gorilla duct tape. It's pretty tough. So here's the larkspur, again planted awfully thickly. So I'm going to break it into smaller pieces, trying to just minimize any disturbance to the roots. And I don't expect all of these plants to survive. If I can get a few of them through. Again, larkspur is tall and spiky, kind of like a delphinium, if that helps you. And it really is a beautiful cut or dried flower. It really ends up being kind of that thriller in the arrangement. And if you're doing a big arrangement and you can get these to be really tall and big, it's great. It will, if you want it to, if you've got a place in your garden, it will seed back for you. So will the poppies. So if you can find a place in your garden that doesn't get bullied, like some of my spots where I have really dominant perennials that kind of take over, you can find a spot and keep it safe for them. They'll seed in, and then you've just got to keep them weeded, and they'll come back year after year for you, but it won't be the same plant. It'll seed back, and the seeds winter over, and sometimes they sprout in the fall and they winter over, and sometimes they sprout in the spring and then they flower that next year. So again, just going to try planting a few of these. Gonna give them a good drink of water. And so far I've done 3 of the milk jugs that I had done, and I probably have another 20 to go. I really tried this out the last 2 years for the first time. It really does work great. You can go back to that video and look at it. You can start poppies and larkspur. I've got some Orlea. It's something new we're trying for a cut flower this year. And then there's another couple of plants that I tried. They all came really well. They're good plants to do this with. They like to have that freezing and thawing cycle, and this acts like a little mini greenhouse. It warms up really nicely on sunny days. You've got ventilation through the top because you don't put the milk jug cap back on. It allows water to get in also. So when it rains, you just have to get them planted up when it's cool. I'm not doing any more of them. Some people do, and you can find that online, but I just have found it over the last couple of years to be a really effective technique at starting what are sometimes annuals that are tough to start in a warm greenhouse. They just really like that, like I said, that freezing and thawing to crack open their seed and get them going. And they really prefer to be cool, not hot in a greenhouse. And they grow really nicely in these little mini greenhouses. So something for you to think about another year if you're considering it. And again, you can go back and watch that video from earlier. Okay, take care. I'll talk to you the next time.